Well, hello. Today I'm going to get going on the first prompt for ValenTangle 2024. And I'm going to start off with this hexagonal tile. And just to begin, as usual with Zentangles, I'm going to start with some gratitude. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to practice these prompts with you guys. I'm grateful for Marguerite for putting these together every single year and giving me sort of a playground to have fun and try out some new things. So the second step in Zentangle is adding corner dots. And I'm going to add just very light dot in each corner. And then I'm going to connect those dots to create a border. Making sure to slow down, get into the tempo of Zentangle drawing. And this is a border tangle, so I would like to come in and put in a second series of dots. Creating an inner border. And when I draw my lines this time, yes, I'll use the dots to sort of help me, but I'm also thinking about making a line that's parallel to the outer line. So parallel to this one. That may or may not actually line up with the little dots that I put in, but it's just to help me get some sort of guideline because I'm not measuring, I'm not interested in taking out a ruler and making sure that these are just so. There we go. That looks like a nice little border to me. All right, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my Pigma Micron 01 in black. And I'm going to start this pattern by inking in these borders. And I'm going to go ahead and aura the border lines I just put in. Taking the time to slow down, making sure that I have some nice steady breaths, inviting any areas of tension in my body to just relax. As I'm drawing these tangle patterns, it really is just for fun. It's an experiment. This isn't a pattern or a tile that I've already created and now I'm just showing you how to do it. This is me, experimenting with the ValenTangle prompt in real time. I just read the prompt and figured, I'll give it a go. So I took out my supplies and we're going to see where our pen takes us. We might like it in the end. We might not like it in the end, but either way, it'll be a fun journey where we can experiment and try some things out. So just reminding myself it's one stroke at a time, no pressure. This is just for fun. This is just to have a drawing practice that's relaxing and enjoyable. So all along that border on the inside, I'm going to come in and just add some lines right on the inside. I'm going to add these lines along this inside border and also along the outside border. All right, so for this border, when you see the border in a straight line, the border is drawn in sort of these rectangular chunks. So here, because we have a trapezoid, our chunks, here, because we have a hexagon, our chunks are going to be more like these trapezoid shapes right here. So for one chunk, we're going to start from the inside and swoop out to the outside. And then we'll go from the opposite, where we'll start from the outside and swoop over to the inside and just sort of alternate all the way around. So for the first one, I'm going to start towards the inside and swoop over to the outside. Now I'm not going to go all the way over to the edge because I want some space to draw some hearts right here. Now it's up to you how big or little you draw your hearts. I think I want a series of hearts going this way, so I'm going to draw them a bit smaller. And so this time I'll start from the outside edge and swoop to the inside, again leaving a bit of space so I can draw some hearts here. I just leave it at 2 and see how it goes. For the next step, I'm going to aura in the shapes on the inside. Part of me is tempted to connect these together somehow. And right here as well. So that there's a bit more, so I can emphasize the pattern itself. It just feels odd having this little gap here. So, well, I might just fill it in. I might swoop down and make that like an interesting, I could just connect it. I could come in and like swoop down and make this like a weighted, I might try that. Let's see how it goes. This is totally an experiment. All right. We're just going to play with it and see how we want to modify. I don't like that stark corner right there. So I can round that off, but then I wonder like how much of it am I like just completely changing the pattern? So we'll see. Let's do that to each one of these and see how we feel about it and see if we can come up with an additional connection or if we're happy with just making those connections. There, I sort of like the flowy nature of how they come together. And I'm wondering, do I want to try making some sort of connection here as well? How would I do that if I wanted to? Well, either way, I know I want to round off this corner here. Yeah, it does feel odd just sort of letting them sort of hang there. I do feel like I want to somehow connect them. So I think I'm just going to experiment again and just make a connection and see what I want to change from there. So then I definitely know I want to round that. And I think I'm happy to leave that as a point and then let that sort of swoop in. Let's see how we feel about that. Let's try that for each one and see how it goes. I like it. It feels like there's a bit more of like an organic flow rather than, the sections being completely separate. All right, now I'm going to follow the next step of auraing in all of this space here. And then I'm going to go through here and also round. I'm going to switch to I think I'm going to switch to my Micron 01 in brown. And I'm going to work on these spaces on the inside here. I think I'm just going to draw. I don't know if this is an official ValenTangle pattern. I'm just going to draw some curvy grid lines. So I think in the original pattern, it was kind of like this, where they would draw in some lines to sort of show the shape or flow of these different interstices sections here. But I'm going to make them like a little net. Just to add a bit of texture there. I might, I don't know, come in and add just a little dot. It's going to be a lot of little dots then. But just a little dot of interest when my net bits come together. I think I'd like to add in some shading in those net areas. And I'm going to experiment with this pink madder lake. You know, maybe not this one. Let me switch to a different one. Yeah, I'm going to try this one. Changed my mind. The Stabilo Carbothello. This is more of like a chalk pencil rather than a colored pencil. And that's kind of what I'm going to go for. A little bit more of a chalk so I can blend it in. So I'm just going to add just a hint of this Carbothello along the outside edge. I just want this area to be a little pinkish. Tortillon and blend that in. And I want to see how I feel about, using color versus shading. Like, am I satisfied with there being enough of both? I like the idea of adding in the color. Yes, I like that. But I think I also want to add additional shading. So I might also put graphite to add a little bit of shadow. So just around the edge, just a little bit of graphite. When I start using my tortillon, I'm gonna wipe it off a little bit just to make sure there's no residual graphite on it from prior uses. That way I don't want to put a ton of graphite. I don't want this to become too gray. You just want to add that hint of shadow along the edge while still maintaining that pretty pink color we just added in. Yeah, I like that. And then I think just a wee bit of white in there for a highlight. And I'll blend that in. Let me find a tortillon that doesn't have a ton of other stuff on it. There we go. I know it'll blend a bit with that pink, but it does add a nice highlighted area. All right, I'm going to do that for each of these sections here. I might also, in these little guys, just add a little bit of pink in there, just to give it something. I don't want to just leave it blank. All right, here we go. What to do with our hearts? Some options. I have this luminance pencil. Oh, here's a fun one. A Derwent metallic pencil. I wonder, I'm feeling like, what if I colored partially either with metallic or, but I definitely know I want to add some white as a shine, as a highlight. So part of me says color mostly in with this metallic Derwent, just because I'm feeling I want to play with it. And then maybe use this one to add a little bit of, darker area, and then use my white chalk to add a little bit of highlight. So let's try that and see how it goes. I may or may not like it. I think the reason I tend not to use colored pencil is I don't know if I press down harder. Yeah, I think I just need to press down harder. It doesn't sort of cover the space the way I want it to. Sometimes it leaves, especially depending on the texture of the paper, it leaves just more texture than I would like, when I instead would really like just the color rather than like sort of the way you just get when you use a marker or a Posca pen. But when I press down on this metallic, it's looking pretty nice. And then I'm leaving a little bit of gap. And let's see if I come in with this luminance one and fill in some of the gap down here. I'm not sure if I like that. We'll see once I add I don't even know if the chalk will work. It'll be completely an experiment. I decided I was just going to go to the store and purchase, of the different colored pencils and chalk pencils, and I was just going to go around and find all the pinks and reds that I kind of liked and wanted to play with. I sort of used ValenTangle as an excuse to try out a bunch of different brands, and so this is part of that experimenting. Yeah, I don't know if the chalk pencil even wants to, nope, it doesn't even really want to write on top of that metallic Derwent. So I think just leaving these gaps and maybe coming in with a Posca pen in a moment will be all the highlighting that we can do with that metallic, with what I have right now, put it that way. So I'm going to go through this process, I think, with each of the hearts. Come in with my Posca pen and add just a few highlights. I'm going to test out my pen first. Yep, it looks like it's working. Just some subtle little highlights in there. So now I'm going to work on that border, the one we started with, and I think I'm just going to put a wee bit of graphite along that inside edge. Make sure to wipe off any extra graphite on my tortillon before I blend that in, because again, I don't want it to cover the hole. I want to leave a bit of lighter space on the other side. I have this a bit darker Carbothello. Let me see if I can pronounce it. Pencil, sorry. A bit darker than the one I was using earlier. And I wonder if I want to use that along the outside edge and the inside edge here. I think I might sharpen it a little bit before I do that though. All right, and now to think about two things. I think one is just this outside border here. I would like to add just a hint of pink. So I might take this one, just add a little line of pink all the way around, not too much. Just going to add maybe just the tiniest little line of shine in one spot along each of these borders, just very lightly. am I satisfied? Is there anything else I want to add? A tiny part of me wants to add some Posca pen there. Another tiny part of me, I know that's what I want to do. I want to go in and redefine the black lines in the middle here. I think the last thing I might want to do is add a bit of white chalk around the outside edge. Just a hint. Yes, I think I'm satisfied with that. So here's our final tile. We have our quote, "A creative life is an amplified life. It's a bigger life, a happier life, and a hell of a lot more interesting life." And this quote is by Elizabeth Gilbert. And then here we have our finished tile. Let's go ahead and add it to our ValenTangle Blizzard book. So that's day 1. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had a lovely time, and I hope to see you again for some more ValenTangle adventures in the future. Bye-bye.